Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Jonny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos. And we had some beautiful dinner tonight. Pam, can I tell everybody?
You're excited.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was yellow Spanish rice with some primavera, some vegetables, oreganada, which is like a tomato sauce with oregano, and it had peppers, onions, garlic, shallot, mushrooms for Fam, because I know she loves it. And then it also had some beautiful shrimp on top, which I made with a little cilantro and a little seasoned of sriracha, lemon, salt, and then I squeezed a little lemon on top. So you had that beautiful shrimp on top of those vegetables on top of that rice. Spanish rice, Italian vegetables, Mexican, Korean shrimp. True American dinner, Fam.
Yeah.
You know who did not get to have dinner tonight were the people that were in line at Wisconsin, right, Fam?
Yeah. So as many of you guys know, unfortunately, the Wisconsin primary went ahead, and I think everybody should be really pissed off, because we're going to see pictures of those people, and those people were in lines really close to each other. And if they weren't close to each other, it just caused longer lines. It caused more spacing, and they went from hundreds of polling places to like 5. Particularly in Milwaukee, which is the largest county, they went from 180 to 5 polling locations. Madison is a wealthier county. And they had about 66 polling locations instead of the normal that they have. But it's still pretty tight. They're the second largest county. And this should have never happened. It should have never been something that came through. It's a disgrace to democracy. A lot of people didn't get the absentee ballots they requested. A lot of these people that requested them were old. And there were old people walking on canes and walkers. And it also rained. There was hail. And it's just bad. It's just bad. We're going to see people die from this. And that's not an exaggeration. We're going to see people die from this.
Well, can I ask you a question, Pam? Because I saw some things when I got up this morning, people were pointing the finger at the Republicans again.
I mean,
who's to blame? I mean, is it just the Republicans themselves?
It's not just the Republicans. It's both the Democrats and the Republicans. I will say that the Republican Supreme Court in Wisconsin overwhelmingly voted to have the election. Also, the mainly Republican Supreme Court in the United States, besides Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, voted against extending the deadline for the absentee ballots. But there were some Democrat-leaning judges on that court as well. But the governor, who had the authority to do something about this, is a Democrat, and he was completely in line with the Republicans the entire time. And my friends in Wisconsin constantly told me this. We've interviewed 2 people from Wisconsin that have pretty much said the same thing. He could have acted way sooner. He could have done something. And the only reason he did something at the very last minute was because people were mad at him and threatening to replace him and primary him. But he knew that the state legislators wouldn't agree. So it was grandstanding again, which is something the Democrats are really, really good at.
Terrible.
And they're just playing politics. Oh, yeah, let me just, boycott, or let me just contradict what the Republican is saying. But really, I've been pretty much in line with them. Tom Perez sent me an email saying, this is a disgrace. This is what Republicans do, blah, blah, blah. Tom Perez had the authority to actually do something as well.
Yeah.
And he refused to.
No, he did. He did what he wanted to do.
Well, exactly.
He made sure that this election went on.
Yeah.
I was going to say, let's make a bet on yesterday when you were explaining to me the whole situation. And you've been deep down the rabbit hole with this one. It's been like a tennis match. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
Yeah,
I was going to bet anything that it would be on again, because once again, Tom Perez and the establishment will have their way. They're controlling things when it comes to the Democratic Party. It's a shame.
Well, they tried. That's the thing. The activists, they tried to the very last second to actually do it. So let's talk about the long lines, because from this morning, from the very, very early morning, like about 6 o'clock, 5 something our time, people already were lining up over there. And this is the city of, it's called Waukesha, Wisconsin, and they have 1 polling location, and those were the lines right before people came in, right before it opened, and the people seemed to be on the older side, and you can see that was at the very, very, very beginning, which means that people were lining up extremely early.
If that's at the beginning of the day, that means forget about it.
Yeah.
People are hanging out, waiting like they're getting tickets to a rock freaking concert.
Yeah, and it's it's good that people went to vote, but it's not good. You know what I mean? I can't really be proud of it 100%.
Look at the Milwaukee lines. The next one
So
now.
this is in Milwaukee.
Holy shit, fam.
At 7:30.
No.
Most people
Johnny,
wearing masks, trying to be spacious with each other. So
look at it. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
It's almost laughable. It's so fucking sad. This
yeah.
is our democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Look at we can't, and then it goes up. Oh my God.
Yep.
This is our democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Democrats want to show you that they can run a country. They can't even run a fucking fair election.
Yeah, this is a sham. This
is
shouldn't
a
count.
total
This should
design.
be entirely invalidated. And look at the right here, the next one where you can see another aspect of
Brandon
this line.
Clarkin. This is Riverside High School in Milwaukee.
Yeah. So those lines were pretty early on for the most part. And then we have this one, which is a really cool thing. The next one is like a fast forward of how long the line was. And this location is in
Omar Jimenez.
They said this is the line for in-person voting as the polls open for election day in Wisconsin. And that is how.
Do you guys know what that was?
No.
Oh my God, that was Benny. I think it was Benny, the Benny Hill show, and they would do like fast forward stuff, and they would play that music, and damn it, yeah, they would and be really fast, and he was like a chubby guy, like my size, with a mustache, and it would always be like kind of like British kind of comedy. It was called the Benny Hill Show, and they would play that music, and they would show them running really fast. That's what's going on over there. You just went through a whole friggin' line. This is sad.
Yeah, you
sad.
laugh because otherwise you'd cry. And I know a lot of our people are really upset. This person posted on Facebook, Nicholas Lampert, said, Wisconsin voters standing in 2-hour lines outside.
I'm sorry.
No, what's that? Outside Riverside High School in Milwaukee. This is the same area, Riverside, shortly after a hailstorm at one of the 5 poll sites that opened in the city. Normally, there are 180 poll sites open. Respect to the voters and poll workers who are risking their lives, literally, during the coronavirus epidemic. This election should have been postponed until June had not the corrupt Republicans and the Wisconsin Supreme Court not defied the governor's orders. This is all about reducing voter turnout to steal yet another election. Yet April 7th, 2020 will go down as the most undemocratic and unsafe election in Wisconsin's history. But here's the thing. Yes, the Republicans have a lot to do with this, but the only people that win out of having the election right now against people like Bernie Sanders are the establishment Democrats. So we can't really forget that that's something that is actually happening. I have another picture here, and I just want to show you guys the picture. Is it the picture, or I think I'm still...
That's it right
Oh,
there.
yeah. So this picture right here is...
What is that?
This is a picture of the line.
No way.
Yeah. So this is Amy Thomas, and this is Milwaukee, again, the Riverside High School. This happened later on, and they have a population of over 600,000. It's the largest county, and that's the one polling site, one of the 5 polling sites. So this one, that's how long the line was.
Can I ask you a question, fam?
Yeah.
I saw they were standing out in hail.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have to face the hail to vote or a neoliberal? What's more deadly?
I think a neoliberal is more deadly.
I'd rather take on hail.
Yeah,
I definitely
rather take on hail. So there was an actual turnout in Wisconsin, and let's talk about the differences in turnout. So voters in Milwaukee and across the state braved long lines and the risk of illness. Many said they wanted their voices to be heard, but for some, the potential health risk was too great. And they talk about how it was, back and forth, mudslinging, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then they decided some poll workers wore makeshift hazmat suits, more reminiscent of health and care professionals and electoral volunteers. That was something that some people were kind of speaking against. Some of the poll workers showed up in like hazmat suits and scrubs, and people were like, wow, some of our doctors don't even have that. So it was kind of like, it's kind of like, well, we shouldn't really be doing this when our doctors and stuff need it. Most voters came prepared with masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, and Clorox wipes. Many said they were racked with fear.
Yeah.
They say they don't want you to get sick, but then they send you out here in the damn crowd, said Lawrence Johnson, a 70-year-old cleaning worker in line to vote at Riverside High School. Damn it, I should have been at Riverside High School. There are people like me who are handicapped. We have no business doing all this just to vote.
I would go out and risk my life, though. I would find, like, I'm the price. An individual got a hazmat suit. I mean, come on, fam. If you signed up to be a poll worker, it would be really hard for me to say no. I don't want to do this if they're going to go through with it.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed as hell.
It'd be hard for me not to vote above anything,
That
especially
too, yeah.
if I knew it's like between Biden and Sanders, and we're gonna get into Biden. I'd be like, yeah, we have to absolutely vote. So this person said, I just don't get as to why they were so insistent. We have to vote today. Miss Sanders said, why don't they just take us into account? Why don't they take our health into account? Because there's no money to be made by taking care of you.
They want to try to wrap this shit up right now. They want to try to get these fugazi results out that it's just a crazy dominating win. Yeah. And that's what they're going to show. They haven't come out with any numbers yet, but that's what they want to show. So they want Bernie Sanders to drop out after Wisconsin. They're going to try another move, the establishment, to nudge him even more. So
yeah, no, that's absolutely
it's an attempt to nudge.
And a lot of people just came, even though they had the health, their health concerns, they still managed to go. And Riverside High School was one of the 5 places where they could go, and it was one of the most populated ones, as you guys saw. You guys can see in the picture right here, people are all wearing masks. They're, but they're still pretty close to each other. I feel
people got some gray hair there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of older people. I have a feeling, because of the people that showed up, it's gonna be. They also did curbside, and they managed to do a little bit of that.
Look what the one with the 9 months said, by the way.
Drive-by ballots.
Oh, they did do some curbside.
Well, it was if you were handing out your absentee ballot, handing it back.
Yeah.
Only if you were lucky enough to get one.
You said a lot of people had a hard time getting them.
Yeah, not everybody get them. So, it says the difference added to the sense of grievance felt among some Milwaukee voters. They said they believe that the city's racial makeup, abundance of Democrats, and areas of high poverty made Republicans less willing to care about the health risks. Like other cities around the country, Milwaukee has also been more acutely affected by the coronavirus than the more rural parts of the state. It has a majority of the state's confirmed cases and deaths, particularly among the city's black population. Clarence Carter, 70, said he was voting in person on Tuesday because he filed for an absentee ballot weeks ago but did not receive it. His wife has health issues and couldn't stand in the line, he said. So that's what I wanted to get to, is Milwaukee is a more ethnically diverse, poor county. It's a bigger county, more metropolitan. Madison, where my friend Ashley is a little bit more suburban. It's a little bit more higher class of where people live, so they had more polling. They just happened to have more polling places there in that area that didn't need the polling places, and they just happened to only have 5 in the more populated area.
It reminds us over here. Remember we went to East LA?
Yep.
Like hardly any machines. It's overloaded. Then we go to La Cañada, and it's like, oh, they have 3 times as many machines, 4 times as many workers. They're offering you
they
coffee
have sushi buffets.
I know, right? Like, you want some salmon over here? I got some salmon roe. Jesus Christ.
That's
but that, Milwaukee is, and I went out to Wisconsin. I was out there in Glendale for about 3.5 weeks, almost a month, and I opened up a restaurant. And yes, Madison, Wisconsin is a lot more, it's higher income. It's more money, you know what I'm saying? It's less fortunate people, more poor
fortunate people, yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's just like the city. It's like Chicago. It's like New York. It's like, So.
And so that's clearly, I think that's definitely something that's obviously intentional.
Of course.
So in addition to that, the absentee ballots, people got who requested the absentee ballots didn't get the absentee ballots. So Fox 6 investigators seek to speak with people who requested the absentee ballots, but have yet to receive them. And this has been happening for a while, and they've been asking people to submit. They want to know how many people exactly requested. The last number that I found out from my people was about 10,000 at least, which isn't as bad as LA, where 17,000 people didn't receive their vote by mail ballots. So it's not as bad.
Not good at all, though. So
no. There's also a possibility of liability, and I think this is awesome. So somebody set up a liability for coronavirus exposure during presidential elections.
Try to sue somebody?
I think this is a great idea, because if people get sick or die from this, we
actually, Tom
I think they can sue the governor and the state legislators.
Can we sue Tom Perez?
I don't know if you want to sue Tom Perez.
I want to sue Tom Perez.
And you can fill out the form, and they can track if you develop some symptoms of being infected with COVID-19 and need to go to the hospital for threatening symptoms after voting in the 2020 primary election. And if you had to come out of the governor recommended self-isolation order in order to vote, obviously, got exposed to the coronavirus and ended up in the hospital afterward, this needs to be tracked separate from the State Department of Health. That's smart. This is data being collected by, there it is, Dr. Sofia Merjanovic, PhD in immunology and microbiology, was informed Dr. Kara Christ of the Arizona Department of Health Services, Secretary of State Katie Hobbs of the Governor Doug Ducey, that it is irresponsible to hold the presidential primary election on March 17th, 2020, when the public needs to be practicing isolation to flatten the curve. So a lot of these people that had previous state issues have kind of taken Wisconsin under the wing and have said, hey, something needs to be done about this because it's just not right. It's not fair. People, I mean, this is crazy. Is there another country that's holding elections right now?
Well, what has Donald Trump said about this? Has Donald Trump said anything at all? Because I'm kind of curious. I mean, I know, but like he's part of, he ordered to stay at home, right? It was him. Shouldn't he be saying something? Like, even if he's bashing the Democrats.
Yeah.
The Democrats are sending people. They don't care.
No, I don't think.
Nothing like that?
I don't know, Johnny. I don't know if you can find it. I don't think he said anything like that. I think he's in favor of people going to vote, to be honest, but I'm not.
You think? No.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be quiet about it. I think he's in favor of the Democrats making idiots out of themselves.
Yeah. So
this is something we need to go have on over here, right, fam?
People are starting
to
do these protests
Let's
with
do
cars,
this.
which are a great idea. Someone did one for prison reform. But this is Amelia Jones from NBC. She tweeted that a Caravan protest is happening around City Hall. Cars are honking and circling the building with their flashers on. It's to call Andrea Palm, Wisconsin Secretary of Health and Human Services. This is the lady everybody was contacting yesterday, to use her power to pass an emergency health order to postpone the elections. Actually, she absolutely could have. She's just a secretary.
She took the phone off the hook.
Yeah.
Fam, she was told, take the phone off the hook, don't answer the calls, don't look at your emails, let this shit go. She should have stepped up like the gentleman did in Ohio to knock it back.
And The Onion did a really interesting...
is it the truth or is it a lie? The Onion.
So The Onion said, Wisconsin primary voters receive I voted gravestones.
No.
Is it too soon? I don't know. But I mean, I feel like that's what... that's what it is. And
own it, Democrats.
Yeah, I mean,
own it right there.
It's both of them. I mean, they're just both awful people. They don't care either end, right? And I just want to reiterate on the whole Madison versus Milwaukee scenario, because Madison again has 66 polling places on election day. Milwaukee has 5. What's the deal?
That's fucked up.
And
that's systemic racism.
That is systemic
right
racism,
there.
Exactly.
It's not about, and that was the guest we had on today, fam. It's not about the way we talk to each other, or it's the way we what the hell are you doing? It's not the way we talk to each other, or the tone policing, or the way we, what I'm saying. Systemic racism also has to do where you allocate resources and stuff. And when you deprive people of color in low income areas of education, of what other justice did she talk about? The environmental justice.
Yes.
And in this case, a right to vote, their First Amendment right, which you're completely stripping them of. That's just disgusting. It really, really is. That's what systemic racism is all about.
Exactly. And I have a video I wanted to show you guys, Johnny. I think I sent it to you earlier.
Go ahead. Sorry. Can you do this one here?
Yeah. Can you just play it? No. There's just this is just a polling location in Madison, Wisconsin, just so you guys know. And I want you to guys see the difference in like lines compared to Milwaukee. And the point I want to make is, again, Madison had 66 polling locations, very suburban, definitely not as heavily populated. And that is the line to go in there.
It's an attack on poor people.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a direct attack on poor people. More than anything else, it's just an attack on poor people. So we have some reactions, and I sent you another video. And there's a little girl well, not a little girl, a young woman that was talking about how it's really sad that we have that this is happening, and she seems to be really upset. Did you get it? Oh, not that one, but it's okay. No, it's I sent it.
Play that one real quick
Yeah, you
while
can
we're
just
waiting.
play that one.
'Cause that's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, this one is just the people in Milwaukee waiting.
Look at this. You got to wait this. Coronavirus, right? You can get completely friggin' sick. You could get hit by hail.
You get coronavirus.
Coronavirus. You got to
get
fight
run
off
by a
neoliberals
car.
that are coming by trying to... I think there was a sign that said, please don't feed the neoliberals.
Yeah, and you know, we can look back to when New Hampshire voted and Iowa voted and how it was cold, and you know, that's also a thing, you know, but the lines weren't like this. I mean, these lines are just terrible. And they're just horrible. I don't know if you got it.
What about the drones keeping crowd control?
So this is just outside of the Wisconsin primary, though. New York, if you guys haven't seen Black Mirror, New York has these drones, and these drones are now keeping crowd control. It looks like something out of a fictional movie.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, let's just play it.
No. What is the drone doing?
The anti-COVID-19 Volunteer Drone Task Force. Please maintain a social distance of at least 6 feet. Again, please maintain social distancing. Please help stop the spread of this virus. Reduce the death toll and save lives. For your own safety and your family's safety, please maintain social distancing. Thank you for your cooperation. We are all in this together.
Yeah, right? That's...
The anti-COVID-19
That's some freaky
Volunteer
ass
Drone
crazy
Yeah.
shit over there.
Yep.
That's some crazy stuff over there.
Yep.
Wow.
It's bad. It's bad. It seems to me like it's one step away from, like, I don't know, like just drones shooting at people. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna start.
Yeah.
I was
it's
gonna.
true,
I don't
but
give a shit.
still, I don't know. Who
What's a volunteer
you,
drone?
Yeah,
task
you're
force?
supposed to be allowed to have you have to get some sort of permit to do that. You can't just be flying. I don't think you can just be flying drones like
I don't know.
if you just want to.
I was gonna say a couple movies from the past, but you guys are too young to remember. No.
No.
There was a movie with Sylvester Stallone
Oh,
called
of
Judge
course,
Dredd.
had to be an Italian.
Judge Dredd. I hated the movie. I watched it 1 or 2 times. It sucked. It had Armand Desante in it, but it was kind of like this futuristic.
Yeah.
I am the law. You know, and he was like a lawyer. He was like maintaining order or whatnot in the future, and he was a judge, and they would sentence. You know, he'd be like a cop and judges together.
Yeah.
So, and you know, you'd hear all this futuristic, and that's what that reminded me of. That drone coming in. Please maintain the order of the ship and the Pretty
Yeah.
freaky. What else you got, Johnny?
So Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
Likes Fig Newtons.
He loves Fig Newtons.
What's wrong with liking
guys.
Fig Newtons, old Joe?
Well, pasta. You shouldn't be talking about Fig Newtons and peanut butter and jelly when people are like being laid off their jobs, when people are, you know, not able to pay their rent, when
Look,
people are striking.
I've
You
heard.
shouldn't be talking about Fig Newtons and peanut butter and jelly.
I heard that
Okay.
he got the Fig Newton plant extra money in the bailout for Fig Newtons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no,
Just
not at all.
everybody gets a Fig Newton. You get a Fig Newton.
I get a Fig Newton.
I
You get a
hate.
Fig.
You want to know?
You know what?
I
I
hate
love Fig Newtons
with a passion.
You just
like
need a lot
I
of
will
milk.
throw up if
'Cause
I
they
eat a
stick
Fig
to
Newton.
your teeth if they're like
It's
soft
disgusting.
and hot. They have apple Fig Newtons that
They
are good
taste
too.
like, you know why I hate raisins, and they taste like raisins
Yeah,
to
but
me.
I don't know how can you hate raisins.
It's
You
raisins
love
are
wine.
disgusting. I love wine and grapes, but no raisins. Raisins are nasty.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden has a podcast, you guys, and I know he's going to be a huge competition for Pasta and I, because how can we compete with Joe Biden? You know, like how can we compete with the storytelling he provides? I mean, one moment we're in a pool with hairy legs and
Cockroaches and kids on my lap.
and then the next day we have a phonograph and the Civil War
And
and
get a tongue down a 13-year-old girl's ear
Yeah.
or something.
we
whatever.
can't compete with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
that's
can't.
like, it's a surprise at
The
every
balls
corner.
on that, man.
Yeah,
Let's get a
so
little Joe going. Let's hear Joe.
let's hear a little bit of
His
Joe.
voice makes me sound nice and warm inside.
Yeah.
Are Fig Newtons your favorite snack?
Well, they're among the favorite. You know why? They're small and I can sneak them. You can buy little packs of them, and I get them on the planes when I fly back and forth. But the thing that everybody makes fun of me, that when in doubt, I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But I learned everybody was making fun of that, and I found out John Kerry has the same addiction: peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But
Peanut butter jelly sandwich is always good. My daughter and I enjoyed it when you were in Michigan and you shared your fig Newtons with us.
That's right.
Lovely conversation.
Oh
I mean, there's just so much depth in those conversations. I mean, I can really feel America loving every minute of that,
So
as
bad.
they are pushed to go vote in the middle of a pandemic, as they're on red strikes, losing their houses, can't pay their mortgage, can't feed their kids. Joe Biden hasn't addressed any of that. He's just been talking about, we need to unite the soul of our country and all this other bullshit. And other than that, he's been hiding, and he can't even keep his thoughts together, as you guys saw from the video from before, where, he's like, yeah, go out and vote. And we didn't stop for the Civil War in 17 and 16 and 13. And, he's not talking about the things that matter to people. We need a president that's going to talk about, hey, we need to have health care for everybody. Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. I mean, Bernie Sanders just makes him look horrible because he had another thing today where he was doing a live stream. Now, Bernie Sanders has a chance to actually be like, okay, you guys are striking. Let's go. He's done it before many times when it comes to union marching and things like that. So I think I think it'd be a great idea. Now, we're going to be talking more about Bernie Sanders throughout the week because, like I said, there are a lot of things coming to fruition regarding his campaign, regarding people like Jeff Weaver and Fies and those people who want him to drop out. And they're at the very top chain of the campaign. There is a discordance, right? There's something going on there. And I have sources and I have things that I want to talk about in a very nuanced way, because I believe that criticizing Bernie in order to make sure he drops the toxicity that is holding him back can actually help him and help all of us in general. And I think that's honestly been the issue. People have not wanted to say anything because they didn't want to hurt his campaign, and myself included. And it's, and it's come to the point where I think it's hurt him far more to not have the right people at his side, to not have the grassroots really know what the hell's going on. Because there are Bernie supporters out there that say, oh, everything's great, everything's peachy and rainbows and stuff. And I wish it was, but it's not. Yeah. And the reality is not just on Bernie. It's a lot on the advisors he has. Of course, he is to blame for having them. But there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and it's complicated political world, and it's time. We don't have time for that.
Yeah, well,
we were in a situation where we need to push all that aside and actually get people who are ready to fight, who aren't telling him that he needs to drop out.
Well, the whole dropout, once again, you're a pony-licking dog-faced soldier out there who's ever said that right there, and Fig Newtons are good. Once again, I think everybody should stop concentrating on the election. Stop concentrating on right now. Concentrate on a general strike, a rent strike, and a debt strike. Everything that we talk about why we support Bernie Sanders, we don't have to wait for him to become president anymore. Guess what? We can do it now. The time is ripe. So I hear what you guys are saying, but at the end of the day, you want to fight, and of course, everybody should have a right to go and vote. And if the vote is rigged, people should see for their own eyes.
Yeah, they should have a right to vote, but
right
not
now,
like
the
this.
most important thing, fam, is getting together and getting a rent strike going, okay? I heard they're going to go back to the table, try to get another stimulus. It's a little bit too late. You just signed over towards friggin' Wall Street, okay? And once again, we've been doing some reporting showing that there might be up to 30% of the houses out there might be foreclosed in a year to come. It's going to be really, really bad. In a situation where you didn't cover the asses of the rents and the mortgages, well, here you go. We're going to do a rent strike. We're going to do a mortgage strike.
Sure.
We're going to do a general strike. This is what we need. Get in the cars like they did today in Wisconsin and drive down the streets.
But the reality is, Pasta, if we can get, you can try to do that, but people do feel empowered by a leader. And I'm the kind of person that says you don't need Bernie Sanders to do this, but at the same time,
so why do we need him for president?
Because it's the position allows leverage to bring these things into the table. That's why he shouldn't drop out. If he drops out, If he drops out, he has zero leverage at all to get anything.
Yeah.
And
I think the leverage is gone right now. I don't think he's going to get anything.
I don't think it's gone.
The
I mean, I think
only
it's
way
still
we're going
there.
to get anything is if we strike. We have to really
we have to strike,
seize
but
the means. That's
yes,
it.
But it's
We're
not as simple as
yeah.
just seizing the means. Like you have to have organization.
But once again,
and all
I
that.
understand that. But once again, this whole dream that you're going to get something if he stays in, and we talk about the
But
Unity
that's the whole
Commission.
point.
No,
Is like
the thing is that he has to use his power right now.
But
he has to
dropping
use
out
his
isn't going
supporter.
to help us.
Once again, I'm saying it's not as important. If he dropped out and had
disagree.
a general strike, a rent strike, a debt strike, and got us Medicare for all and a UBI, so
he doesn't
be
have to drop out to get that.
He
though.
doesn't have to, but he doesn't
Yeah.
have to become president to get that. You have to seize the moment.
Whoever becomes president after that
It ain't gonna be Bernie.
remove that in a heartbeat and say, okay, that's it, it's gone. So I disagree. I think it matters who becomes president, but I think more than that matters that we see like why all of this is happening is not just because of Donald Trump, but it's a result of years and years of neglect by the Democratic Party, and it's going to take people to stand up. He's been the first one to say it, you know, like just me being president isn't going to get us anything. Like we need to all rise up. But the problem is people look to him as a leader. And since they look to him, it is much easier with his power of leverage to have that. Like if he doesn't do that, people are going to be angry and do it anyway. But what I'm saying is there has to be a course. And I think, again, I go back to people still have to vote. There are now 26 states remaining left to vote.
Yeah.
Their votes matter. I'm not going to tell them it doesn't matter.
Of course, I agree. But when it comes down to it, it's like the first TED Talk that John made me watch. And that whole message was people follow you for why you do things. So I realized the reason why I love Bernie Sanders is because he fought for the working class. He fought for Medicare for all. It was the reasons why. All those reasons why, to obtain them, the best shot we got right now is to strike. And he does. He's got to use his supporters and his power one time.
Absolutely.
Use it right now. Because all those people we've said it so many times before. I'm ready to get arrested in Wisconsin. Okay, well, let's do it right now. Let's take to the streets. To the streets. We can't take to the streets, but we can say, you know what? We're not going to work. And as things get back to normal, when these oligarchs and these corporate CEOs are counting on the workforce getting back out there, we can go, oh, no. We ain't going nowhere. We want to get ours. UBI, Medicare for all, and prison reform. We want to let all those people out for marijuana as well. But they get a UBI that will stabilize them so they won't have to be just on the streets out of the cold. Okay? And then we get our Medicare for all because we need that. If there's ever a time that when you say that we need Medicare for all, it is right friggin' now during the coronavirus.
Nobody's arguing
so
that
let's
point.
hold them hostage. Let's play fucking hardball like the way they play hardball.
Yeah.
Let's get them. Let's be like the Freedom Caucus and say, we ain't budging till you give us what we want.
That's what people need to do. That's exactly what people need to do. But it's easier said than done when a lot of people have to work and then when they have, they have bills to pay.
We know that.
It's difficult for people to do. We need allies in Congress. We need allies in general. And I don't think, I think we need to use our allies that we have.
I really don't think we have a lot of allies.
We don't have a lot.
It's really, really bad.
We have very few.
We have a movement. We have stadiums filled with 20,000 people ready to rock and roll. Then if Mr. Sanders says we're fucking holding a line, then we're holding a line. Or we do it ourselves, and then he does what he normally does, and he comes over.
Yeah.
So I would employ those Bernie people who are still so much fighting to do equally what you're doing because you're fighting for both. Yeah. Right? You're saying we can do two things at one time.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
I think we do.
We got to do them both. So Random Nobody says something for you right there.
What's up, Random Nobody?
Capitalism is the cause. Revolution is only the solution.
Oh,
and Random Nobody,
thank
you for the Super Chat contribution. It is always appreciated.
You're a poet. Don't you know it? You okay?
I'm a writer, a poet, a genius.
Not you.
I know it. I don't buy Chiba. I grow it. People always trying to get next to me. I had a beautiful experience on ecstasy. Fam. All right. That was the Beastie Boys. Please don't demonetize our stream. Fam, we got anything else?
Yeah. So here's a part of the video that I wanted to show of they were protesting today. I think they went to the Senate, the Senate floor. Yeah.
The images of people standing in lines in Milwaukee, Waukesha, all over Wisconsin, they're just heartbreaking. They're outrageous.
What did Omar say? He said, "You pony face dog licking soldier."
That's what
Biden said. He was quoting Biden. Omar, how you doing, big dog? Oski. OC
The images
Digital.
of
boy.
people
Love
standing
you.
in lines in Milwaukee, Waukesha, all over
Sentiment.
Wisconsin.
Democracy.
They're just heartbreaking. They're outrageous. Nobody should have had to have been in the situation where they have to choose between their right to vote and their right to live. People are going to get sick because they went out and voted today. Our government has failed us. It's the least we can do is just stand up for those that are willing to risk their health and safety to stand up for their right to vote and participate in our democracy.
What do you think of the way that legislators handled this? Even the calling of the special session, only one person went in there and held it all on his own.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that there was only one person. I don't understand where everybody is.
Is there anything else that you want to say?
The leaders of Wisconsin need to do better, and they have blood on their hands.
Yeah, let me stop there. They absolutely have blood on their hands. I just want to say that all these people have blood on their hands. Tom Perez has a lot of blood on his hands, from Florida to Illinois to Arizona to now. He has blood on his hands. He had a lot of leverage. He had a lot of control over what would happen, and he didn't do anything about it. Neither did Governor Evers, who is pretending that this is all the Republicans, but really he was always in line with them too. And of course, yeah, though I don't care if they're Republicans or not, the people of the Supreme Court of Wisconsin who voted against this, and then the people of the U.S. Supreme Court who voted against even a simple extension so people could actually have time to receive their absentee ballots. A little bit more time. It wasn't even a super long extension. I think it was like a few weeks, not very much long of an extension, just so their vote could count. And a lot of these people that went were older people, and I think we're going to see them get sick. Wisconsin, as we interviewed the doctor, they had been doing a really great job of social distancing. My friend said, people in the Midwest, they are homebodies. They like to stay home. It's cold. They like to, just be at home most of the time. So they're not like out. It's not like LA where people are like outside hiking, walking their dog, going to restaurants and cafes all the time. It's not like New York where people are always out there. It's definitely a place where you can easily social distance. And I think we're going to see the numbers go up because of that.
Oopsie says, and thank you for the super chat contribution. Oopsie. It's always appreciated on the couch. Do you remember the time we emailed and called Congress and blew up Twitter with the hashtag Flock You Washington? We can do it again. Yes, we can, Oopsie.
When was that?
I don't remember.
Oopsie, when was that?
Tell us when it was, Oopsie. We love you. Special thanks to Democracy, Upstate Raider, Frederick Murphy, Zox, Holly Horn, Propaganda, Uncle Drew, Matt Farr, Karen M., and to the number one troll of the stream today, Crazy Life, whatever you got to say over there. Got it. You do, in fact, censor. Good to know. Messaging other social media bloggers and telling them not to host you. Fake ass channel. We got a troll. El Mission, Frederick Murphy, Holla Horn, Paul Smokes Pot. I love Paul. Jarrett Tazo, Oski Digital, Hank Moultrie, and many more. Spectrum is winning. Karen M. Okay,
I
cool.
hope Spectrum
That's
isn't winning.
Crazy
That's
Life,
terrible.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but
He's
crazy life for life.
Any results, Johnny? No word on results yet, guys. I haven't heard anything about any sort of results, but early polling was saying, Joe Biden. Now, I want to remind everybody, Wisconsin was won handedly by Bernie Sanders last time.
Handedly.
Like ass whooping.
Handedly.
So it's really interesting to me that they were so anxious on getting this election just wrapped up, right? I think this is why, even if Bernie doesn't win a single other state, this is why Bernie needs to stay in, because they think about this. Joe Biden is just so terrible. Imagine if he drops dead tomorrow. I'm just saying, even if they wouldn't give it to Bernie, they'd make some other shit
Oprah
up.
Winfrey or
Whatever.
Chris
It
Cuomo.
doesn't matter. But at that point, it would be so obvious that people would be like, wait a minute, like what?
Obvious
Like
now?
I think, to us, but I think people outside of our bubble,
Yeah.
they still can convince themselves that Bernie did something wrong. There are even some quote unquote progressives who are like, yeah, well, he failed. Stop saying it's rigged. Stop. It's like, you fucking idiots. This happened 4 years ago. Like, you deserve Donald Trump or Joe Biden if you think like this election isn't rigged. You really do. Like, at this point, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know how much more clear it can be. Prove to me that it's not. Prove to me that this doesn't invalidate at the very least one state. That what happened in Texas, the way they closed down polling stations, the way the lines were, what happened here in California, we were reporting it the whole time. And what happened in other locations like Iowa. Do you think just because they had an app that was completely like that literally showed they were cheating in Iowa, you think that was the only state that they were just going to do that on? You think that was the only state? Really? Are you that naive? Like, I have zero patience anymore to people who deny election fraud. Because it's not just voter suppression. Voter suppression is a form of election fraud.
Yeah.
It's a form.
We're going to have Michael Tracy on the show on Thursday at 3 p.m. to talk to him about that. Well, listen, because there's a lot of people who feel that Bernie Sanders has a lot.
Absolutely.
Tim Canova says and whatnot. At what point do they say, oh, they believe it's rigged, they don't believe it's rigged? I think some of those people, they are a little upset with Bernie.
But I think they're letting their dislike of Bernie and their upsetness at Bernie, I don't think that's a word, but their just disdain with Bernie cloud their judgment. Regardless of how you feel about Bernie Sanders, this election was rigged, and so was 2016.
But you know what?
Regardless of how you feel about Bernie, you don't have to like Bernie.
I hear you.
Because
I hear you. And once again, it's two things at one time. There's suppression, there's Bernie's mistakes, and then there's a straight out rigging the numbers in the machine. And by the way, somebody says Paul Smokes Pot says Cuomo Cuando 2020.
Yeah, right.
Cuomo Cuando. Tell me when we'll meet again. Jimmy Dore came on our show and he's saying Cuando.
He sings it much better than pasta, I'll tell you that.
That hurts me. I am not cooking you any tilapia.
You can cook,
piccata tomorrow.
He can sing.
And I got you good artichokes and the Sicilian capers. You don't get any now.
You're not even a real Italian.
Johnny, got anything else before we can get on out of here?
Yeah.
Wait. And Johnny, after the promo, somebody said, did you see, Propaganda said, did you guys see Trump call out the DNC election fraud today? Propaganda, send us a link real quick or tag it in the chat so we can see it.
Oh, he's got it. He tweets so much.
Propaganda. I like Michael Tracy, but he's high on drugs when it comes to reporting the DNC election process.
I agree.
Propaganda.
I like him
Send
too,
us that video, though.
I agree. I agree with him on a lot of things.
Michael Gong says guillotine gulag 2020.
But election, for me, you know how everybody has like a trigger moment where for instance, one of them for me is climate change. If you don't believe in climate change, I really have a hard time taking you seriously. It's one of those. Election is one of those for me. Like, if you really don't believe in that, and I know too many people that just don't believe it, and I'm friends with them, and I'm just like I can't. It's just hard for me, especially experiencing. I guess my experience level of seeing this at play in real life, it makes me feel like either I'm insane or you're just flat out wrong.
Dude, I'm going to go back and look at it later too. If Donald Trump called out the DNC today, how bad does that make them look?
Well, he's going to win. He's going to whoop Biden's ass. If Biden's a nominee, the corpse of Biden, Trump's going to whoop his ass. He's literally from here to Sunday.
Yeah.
Next Sunday.
Let's take a look at the promo, Johnny. Show people what we got going on tomorrow for the ROKFIN exclusive over here at 5 p.m. On the YouTubes. No, it's on ROKFIN.
I'm so glad you don't talk like that.
Sorry.
But that's perfect for this, though.
Progressive Trivia. Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Starring tomorrow Kim Iverson, Ron Placone, Fiorella Isabel, your host, Pasta Jardula, and behind the scenes on the ones and twos, Jonny Tsunami.
Okay, you got to do it just like that tomorrow. Just like
Oopsie says it was, Johnny, that's awesome. It was in 2011,
really
part of Occupy time. I was part of Occupy here. Google at Jeff Jarvis, hashtag. We'll check it out, Oopsie.
Awesome. Yeah, we know a lot of people here who are, in the movement now who are part of Occupy. And what we want to do is avoid what happened to Occupy, right? Like, they fell apart. The leaders kind of go, it's the same things. Leaders get co-opted. These things keep happening and blah, blah, blah. And then they squash the rebellion. That's why this time around it has to be a lot more organized. And we need to focus on decentralization because if you have one figurehead, it never works, but a centralized message. And that's something that I think we can look at the Yellow Vests, because they managed to do that really, really well.
Yeah.
Really well.
Somebody said, please don't let H.A. Goodman die from inflated head disease. We'll try. We will try. Johnny, got anything else, brother?
There's a lot of people that
Fiorella, anything else?
No.
So that was it. The election went on. We have no results to report.
Yeah. It's a shit show. It's a mess. People are very upset. I mean, my friend couldn't even look at she couldn't type anything today. She's like, I can't. It's really hard when people fought really hard to stop it and, risk their lives and stuff like that. It's really bad. And, I think we're going to see the results of that come to fruition later on, unfortunately. This is going to be, we're bracing ourselves here in general for the worst few weeks coming up of this pandemic. And I haven't even seen the latest numbers of the CDC, but I just know it just keeps rising. It keeps getting worse. And, I just keep hearing now, I'm hearing like friends and friends of friends, like, okay, so-and-so passed away from the coronavirus. Yeah. Now I'm hearing those stories come a little bit closer. So now I'm like, okay, this is something, that's actually really happening.
Well, okay, we're stocked up with a lot of food, a lot of pizza and ice cream, frozen pizzas and ice cream. We have them over there. Tomorrow we'll be on ROKFIN for our exclusive trivia. We said we're going to have Kim Iverson, Ron Pacone in the house. Jameson Doan, thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Tracy is just a contrarian for the sake of being one. He tries to seem edgy by always taking a controversial stance. In other words, he's fake as fuck. Well, Jameson Doan, you're more than welcome to come on and see him on Thursday. Leave a super chat and we'll talk to him. We'll ask him a question. I happen to think he's a really smart guy, very articulate. It's kind of funny because he's a really quiet, sensitive guy, but when he gets behind the camera, he's a lot more vocal out there, so I love to see that part of him. I don't necessarily agree with him a lot of things, and I don't agree with him if he believes less of election rigging. So
and a lot of people, and I just want to say something on the exit polls. A lot of people discount. I know he discounts them. A lot of people do. A lot of people discount the exit polls. Here's the thing. Yeah, they're actual data of people coming out from voting. Number one. Number two. If you look at the Republican exit polls, they always line up with the real outcome. And so the fact either polls. Right. The fact is either the Republicans know how to do exit polls and the Democrats just suck at doing them, or obviously there's something there. And the Republicans cheat in other ways. I'm not saying that they don't, but the Democrats act like the Republicans only do it. I mean, we saw the blockchain or whatever it was called, documentary Kill Chain, and
the Russians did it, fam.
And the Russians did it. I mean, they literally show you how the guy can hack a machine with. There's so many ways: internet, the SD card, all these things Russia. That you can do. But then at the end, they're like, "Oh, but Russia did it. The Russians are doing this. Why are Russians more capable of hacking computers than a 10-year-old that did it already?" Like, no, obviously, the Democrats have just as much incentive to hack our elections as the Republicans do. They both do it.
We're going to get out of here. We're just going to say goodbye to Roshan Akula, who's also watching. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Jai.
Roshan.
Jai. I love you, Jai. Good to see that you're here. Good to see you. Moultrie and Karen M.
Good to hear you.
Hard for you, too. Join us tomorrow on ROKFIN for our ROKFIN exclusive on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. for Pasta Jardula.
And Fiorella.
Johnny Sue on those ones and twos.
Convo out.
Bye.